Hey everybody, Aaron J. Anderson here at aaronjanderson.com. Just to remind everybody, please like my Facebook, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel and Vimeo. Leave comments because not only do I learn from mistakes I do, but other people can learn as well when they read the comments. But anyways, I'm actually, if you see this shirt on the next episode, it's because I'm going to film both episodes with this same setup, just because I don't want to do a simple little setup for a simple little intro for the next one. But in this episode, I am going to go over the way I have my buttons set up on the camera, because if you don't know about the GH4 and the GH3, there's like 5 custom buttons that you can put whatever settings you want to on those. So it's pretty neat. So I'm going to show you how I set that up. Also, I'm going to go through the menu on my menu settings. I'm not going to go through every specifications of all the menu settings, just fly through them real quick so you guys see what I have. And right now I'm actually filming this with the new picture style setting that I've come to like. It has changed actually quite a bit from the first couple episodes of this series. So stand by and check that out. And one of the reasons why I set my function buttons up as I do is I like to film as quick as possible. I want my certain settings and features at a push of a button, so that when I'm filming somebody or something, I can just get to those. So that's what we're going to show you right now. So I'm going to go behind the camera and I am going to show you all the buttons and the settings. Hey everybody, here we go. Sorry if you guys see my reflection here. So I'm going to first show you the button layout that I have. First, in case you're new to the GH4, I'll show you how to set up your custom buttons. And on top here, let's see if I can turn this. It's going to be kind of hard here, but on top here you got a function 1 button here, and then you have a function 2 button, function 3, function 4 down here, and over here you have a function 5 button. Now you could set up those buttons with any settings that you most commonly use, and so I'm going to show you that right now. In order to do that, you go into menu, go into this gear wrench with the C, and on page 7 you're going to see function button set. You click on that. Settings in record mode, that is when you're recording what these buttons will do. And then when you press this button for play mode, those are the buttons. The buttons will change to what they do in that mode. So we're just going to do the setting in record mode. And here you got function 1, which is up on top, function 2, which is here, 3, and so forth. And basically you pick the button you want to change, you click on menu, and you can set up anything you want it to be. So I'm going to show you what I use mine for. When I'm filming, I usually keep it in manual focus mode, as you can see right here. And so by pressing, let's see if I can lock this. By pressing function 1, I have peaking come up. And if you press it again, it goes from off to low to high. And what low is, we'll show you if I can focus here. You can see low. Let's get some of that reflection out of the way. When you put it on low, you see more focus peaking marks. As you can see, they're over here on the clock now. And now we can come up. You can see some right here and on that post there. When you press it again for high, you get less focus marks, which they say in the manual is actually more accurate. So now we're on peak H, and you can see on the clock there some of those dancing around. So that's something I use like all the time. So I have it on function 1. Function 2, we'll turn that off now. Function 2 I have set up for metering mode. Now metering mode I use all the time throughout a shoot as well. If I'm shooting an establishing shot, I might put it on the multi-metering, which means it's going to take the whole scene light into account and tell you what the proper exposure is. And then the other thing that I use is spot metering, which actually takes that little dot you can see in the middle. Let's see if I can move it to somewhere easier, maybe over here. That way you guys can see the little dot there. You can see that little cross. spot metering is going to meter that exact spot. So that's good if you're doing skin tones, or if you're going to want to get a scene properly exposed. You can like, you could just meter different spots. You could say like, well, what is this down here reading? Or how, let's see, we could see that's like, 2 stops under over here. So you could just meter your scene, which I use all the time. So let's go ahead and go to function 3. Function 3, I got zebras. If you press it once, it goes to the first zebra. You click it again, it goes to zebra 2, and you click again and it's off. On zebra 1, I have 70%. That's for skin tones. And zebra 2, I have 95%. You could, if you want to maximize your dynamic range in your scene, you might want to change that to 100. That way you know anything that has zebras. Let's crank this out here. Anything that has zebras at 100 will be 100% IRE, which is completely blown out. You can maximize your scene a little bit more, because by raising it up, you're going to raise up the shadows to the absolute, blown out point. I like to keep 95 just because I don't want to know where 100% is. I like to have that little bit of cushion, but it's up to you. Function, and this button here, one thing cool what I didn't tell you about is the GH3 and the GH4 actually has, it's going to be blurry for you guys, but actually has a white balance and ISO button by itself, so you don't have to set up one of your custom buttons for white balance or ISO, which I use throughout a shoot as well. They already have it, and it also has this display button. When you click it once, everything goes. Click it again, you've got your leveling meter, which I use in the beginning of a shoot as well. So that's another feature that I use a lot that I don't have to set up one of these function buttons for. And then function 4, I actually have the touch screen. Now, I like to keep it off just so I don't accidentally touch anything, but when I do want it on, I can turn it on and I'm good to go. We'll go into that a little bit more. And then function 5 I have set up at default, where when you click it, it actually switches to the viewfinder, and you switch it again, it goes back to the screen. Why I like to do this is the camera by default will have this little sensor turned on, so anytime your eye gets up to this, it automatically switches over. But what I've noticed, when you have that on and you're just fiddling around with the camera, it senses your hand and it keeps shutting things off, and I don't like that. So I rather just, if I'm outside and I can't see the screen, I rather switch it myself to look at it and then back out if I need it. So those are my function buttons right there. Now, the one thing cool about keeping it in manual focus mode, let's turn on peaking. If you're in manual, you can see the peaking marks. If you're in autofocus, the peaking marks won't work. So they'll let you know that. Also, by keeping it in manual focus mode and setting up the menus properly, when you turn the screen on, you can double click and you can get in a a magnified view of wherever you double click. But also, if you move this and let's say put it right here, it'll automatically focus for you. So even though you're in manual focus mode, you can actually just use autofocus by dragging this around. So I think that's a cool feature to have, manual focus and autofocus. So if you have if you just want to focus on one thing, you don't want to manual focus, just do that. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so now we'll quickly go through the menu system. I'm not going to go over each thing, but you can see how I set my stuff up. So the very first thing, we've got photo style. I've changed my settings since my first couple videos. I find these work better most of the time. Sometimes there's not that one setting that works for everything, but I find this to be pretty darn close. But a Cine-like D with contrast -5, sharpness -5, noise reduction 0, saturation -3, hue at 0. Let's just go through these really quick. Recording format MOV, recording quality 4K at 100 megabits, 24p. Exposure mode manual, and I'm just going to click through some of these. Metering mode, highlight shadow, dynamic, eye dynamic is off, eye resolution off. Master pedestal, I used to have it at 15, which was way up here, which gives you a little more dynamic range without noise, but I found myself in post no matter what I'm shooting, always bringing it back down with a levels, taking the midtones down. So to skip that step, I just keep it at 0 unless I have to have a scene where I just need to bring more out of it, but mainly I keep it at 0. Luminance levels 0255. I have another video on that if you want to check it. Teleconversion off. Sound recording, it's record sound, so actually I'm monitoring the audio after it's recorded. Silent operation off. Mic levels are on. That's these little mic levels here that you can see. I have the gain at 0, which works most of the time, perfect for me. Mic level limiter on, wind cut off. What else we got here? Here's that function button set. Let's start at the beginning. We got custom. Now, custom memory set is setting up your camera so that, this is going to be out of focus for you guys, so you could set each custom 1, 2, and 3, and I'll show you what I use. After I go through all of these settings and I set up everything I want, we'll just go through a couple of these so you guys can see what I have. Peaking and histogram. A histogram, I don't have one of these buttons for histogram only because when you're doing this meter down here, let's turn on histogram. You could see here if you see the meter mode, it represents pretty much the same as the histogram. If we go down, we can see the histogram moving down. If we go up, we can see it moving up. We can also see this moving up at the same time. When we hit at 0, that'll turn white, saying that we're perfectly exposed, and going over this way. So I don't use a histogram a lot. You can actually use this if you're using one of those white, gray, and black cards that you put in front of the screen there. That way you can see the marks where you're almost perfectly exposed for whites by having a white mark here, and then the gray would be in the center and the black. So if I may start using one of those. I'm going to try it out. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Then I might use the histogram more. But right now, that's the reason I don't have a feature here set in the buttons, because I just usually go by this. But if I use one of those cards, I might use that. So that's why I don't have that on one of the buttons there. Guides, central marker, highlights, zebra patterns. Zebra patterns, you can set your zebra pattern. Zebra 1, I have it 70%, like I said, for skin tones. And Zebra 2, I have set 95 for knowing if I'm like really close to blowing something out. Let's see, what else is there to talk about here. Like I said, I can't go through all these. It'll take way too long. Quick menu. That's a little menu that pops up over here that you could press, pulls out, and does stuff. I never use it. I find that all the features that I have showed you already in my buttons do me really well. Video button, that's right here. That's to keep that on. Eye sensor, I turned off, of course, like I told you. That's this eye sensor. Touch settings, I have that on. Touch autofocus, which I showed you earlier. How you can, if we have that on, we can, touch autofocus like that. You can also, if you're on an actor over here, let's say, or let's say you're on an actor here, this would be a little more common. And let's say an actor walks in on the scene while you're recording, you say action, you can pull this over to the actor's face, and then it can go to the other actor. Touch scroll, menu guides, shoot without lens off. And that's pretty much it for the menus. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention is when you have all your settings in set up, you've got your frame rate, you've got all your stuff set up. What you want to do is save it to a custom preset like I told you on top. And what I do first, just to make sure everything's always the same, I would go to my white balance button, and I always save it on the sun, just so that if I forget to change do a custom white balance, I always know that if I'm using daylight balance lights or I'm outside, that I'm going to get a fairly good shot because it's at least a preset of daylight. And if I forgot to do it and I'm inside using tungsten light, at least I know the whole shot will be, the same color. It's not going to fluctuate. Like if you have it on auto white balance and you try to fix any color differences, that's going to be a nightmare. So I like to just save it on that, but I always use custom white balance on everything that I do throughout a shoot. Just to keep that in mind. But I'll keep it on white balance there, and I usually keep the ISO as low as I get. It's 200, and then once I do that, I will go into custom memory set here, and I will save this. Just in case I screwed something up during this tutorial, I'm not going to do it, but I would save the settings there, so that way anytime I put it on C1, I know that all my settings are like that every time. Once I do that, one little trick that I do, let's see if I can get this to look better on the screen for you guys. I don't know if this is good. I can barely see what's going on here, but we'll try it. Once that's set up, what I do then is I'll change another setting. I'll go into the record quality, and I will put this in 1920 by 1080, 23.98 frames per second. That's the only thing I'll change here. Then I'll go back into custom memory, and I'll click it on C2, and I'll save it there. Why I do that is you're going to notice in 4K mode we are at a 2.3 crop, but in 1080, whoops, I did it. Hold on, let's put that down a little bit. And 4K, it's going to jump all over me. Let me turn that off. Well, it's going to turn on every time I go back in and out. That's okay. In 4K mode, you're going to see that it's cropped in at 2.3, but in 1080, it actually crops out. So if I'm filming something and I just can't get wide enough, I don't have a wide enough lens for the shot, I'll go ahead and I'll change over to 1920 by 1080 just to get that extra width if I need it. And it's at a high quality. So that's one little trick you guys can do, and all the settings are exactly the same. As you can see, I mean, I could switch between these two and they'll be the same, except of course one is 4K and one is 1080. But the 4K I always edit in 1080 anyways. So that's a little trick you guys can do. And then while in 1080, what I'll do is I'll go in here and I will, where do I go to 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second here at variable bit rate. And then what I do is I go down to variable bit rate, I turn it on, and I set it at 96 at the slowest there. And then I go back over here, and then I put that on custom level 3, which of course is right here. So why I do that is if I shoot 4K most of the time. If I need a wider shot, I put it at C2, and if I want slow motion on the fly, C3. See, I probably screwed something up here. Also, in slow motion, it's going to be set to 100. Another thing is custom 2. I use for clients, because most of my clients never need 4K, at least not yet. And what I'll do for client work is put it on C2 because it's 1080 at the highest quality, and then I'll just go into the photo style, and I'll put it on standard. And then while I'm doing that shoot, I will come over here and I'll save it, because once you shut this camera off, we'll show you here. We're at standard. Once you shut the camera off and then back on, it changes it back to its default on how you set it up. So if I'm doing a client work, I'll put C2, change my photo style to whatever you're working on. Usually I go standard because they usually want it to look the prettiest coming out of the camera, because they don't color grade and all that, depending, like I said, on your client. But then I'll save it so that throughout the shoot, it'll be all set up. So that's it, guys. Hope this helped out. If you have any questions, please leave some comments. My name is Aaron J. Anderson at aaronjanderson.com. Talk to you later.